Welcome to another edition of Bowie TV's Youth, Community, and Lifestyle. During this hour, we're bringing you highlights from some of our shows focused on youth, community, and lifestyle. Please be sure to give us a follow on all of our social platforms. First, on How to Steam Your Dreams, learn more about what's coming up next for this year's Ocean Bowl Games tournaments and Aqua Ball Clash. Then, tune into the informative City of Bowie's Mayoral Candidates Forum for this year's special election. On the Spotlight DMV, check out the panel discussion of Black women in media as they shared real insights into creating opportunities. Finally, on Simply Bowie, PG County Council candidate Euniesha Davis talks plans for the county and for District 4. Thank you for tuning into this week's programming of Bowie TV's Youth, Community, and Lifestyle.
Hey, I got a few great updates for you. But before then, I just want to let you know that I'm not leaving anything on the table. Not leaving anything behind. When I was 14 years old, my family had to regroup. We moved back to my grandmother's house on the west side of Chicago. We called it the Big House. Before that, my home on the south side was my refuge. That's where I drew, I imagined, I built things. When we moved, I lost my dog, our dog, my artwork, and a lot of early dreams and ideas, stuff like cars that could fly or cars like the Chevy Avalanche you guys, some of us drove. But I had drew all those ideas and I lost all that great artwork. And I feel like I had left something on the table. So I've determined in life right now, I'm leaving nothing on the table. I'm not leaving anything behind of all the gifts and talents I've been blessed with to share with the world. And now I'm asking the world to join in with me as we build a game together. And this esports game isn't just a game. It's a doorway for kids to get inspired by reading, math, and science. And you and I will see it together that the new future of esports starts with scholastic esports. And this is us going on a journey together. So we're not leaving anything behind. Family and teams. We just completed the Spring Steam XR Sports League for Montgomery County and for some of our other clients. That league had a number of different kids in the program, and they were getting points doing brain games, playground games, and esports. So that league is finished. Now we're moving from Steam XR Sports League to Ocean Bowl League. So in the Ocean Bowl League, it's time to get ready for Ocean Bowl Games or an Ocean Bowl Fest. Let's talk about that. My team and I have partnered with Virginia Tech now for the last 2 or 3 years. So shout out to Dr. Pamela Gilchrist and Haley over there, assistant director. I think she's working on her doctorate program. So thanks for working with us on this great event. And it's called the Virginia Tech Steam Esports Fest because they will be doing some learning about aeronautics, and they'll be building a paper airplane and having a gamified competition with that paper airplane. They're going to throw it as far as they can, see how much it flies in the air, and then they're going to measure the distance. And then we're going to give an award for the longest distance. So we've used this same kind of curriculum and program since Ocean Bowl Games 1 up in Baltimore with 24 kids. And that's on our Steam XR Sports and Esports YouTube. But after they finish the brain game with that part, then we'll run a Kahoot-like quiz to assess how much aeronautics information and knowledge they've acquired. And then we're using those points on the leaderboard to determine who's in this esports tournament part of the game. And that's going to be featuring Aqua Ball League. And the kids would have earned team power-ups in doing that. So the award ceremony will be immediately after that. Looking forward to Dr. Gilchrist or somebody from Virginia Tech will be handing out scholarships to some of their wonderful STEM-based programs and curriculum and opportunities they have there at the Virginia Tech Innovation. If you're ready to have a great time with a great summer field trip for your kids, if you are a school or rec or group leader of a youth or you're doing some summer camp and you don't know about Ocean Bowl Games, you better ask somebody. Check out Ocean Bowl Games, all that great footage. The hat is on, the logo's there. Let's go. Ocean Bowl Fest. That is correct. It's Ocean Bowl Fest in Baltimore. That's going to be July 17th. That's a Friday from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. That's going to be at the IMET. And then you got Ocean Bowl Games. Our National Steam XR Sports Championship will be held with our partners at universities at Shady Grove and Rockville on July 23rd and 24th. All right. Stay tuned. I'm coming back with more information. All right. I told you I'm not leaving anything on the table. I got so much good music, sound effects, you name it, from all the sound designing and supervising I've been doing, that I'm going to put out an official Ocean Bowl soundtrack for that's going to have some Aqua Ball League game music on it and so forth. Stuff like, no, that's just a little bit something, but I got to give it up for the one track that I'm really digging right now. This is we ain't playing out here. I got to play it. All these soundtracks, including our favorite soundtrack in the world, Ocean Boat, will all be on this soundtrack. So stay tuned. I will make the announcement when it's available through all your major distribution channels like Spotify and so on and so on. It's time for our Alcohol League just status update. And I'm just very, very elated that my team and we've been working very hard. And that's Justin Graves. And we've been working in the trenches, y'all. We've been cooking. We've been staying up late, getting up early, working weekends, doing tons of play testing and working and then showing the game off to kids. And Alcohol League is very fun. I'm telling you, the kids are just super excited about it. And parents just get shocked about a video game that's intentionally designed to promote reading, math, and science. And we just tell them it's more than just a game. It's a educational entertainment plan. As of March 2026, the grant version was sent in. Our next big milestone is the public demo version, which you then will be able to go out to the Steam Valve website to download that demo version. And it's going to be fully playable, meaning it's going to have both the sports mode and adventure mode, but mostly focus on the sports mode where you are splashing around and scoring goals. And again, it's a local couch co-op, meaning I myself want to just sit, on a couch. It's not a multiplayer online yet. That's a future release, 2026. I mean, like early access, inner circle version. That's going to be one of those versions where people who support us very early will get access to some of our special tournaments and events, swag, anything we can do to, make it edutaining. Because y'all know, those who know me know I love a great edutaining time. We do a very good job of gamifying an activation or an exhibition. So we got a lot of, cons coming up like MomoCon, DreamCon. Yes, we're going to be at all these. I'm going to make another special announcement where I'm going to focus on that a little bit later. We have the Founders version. The Founders version is definitely one of those ones where you can support and then even get more access to some of our special wallpapers, graphics. You can even get your character in the game. That's correct. I'm going to talk about that very shortly, about how your kids can get inspired to go do science research about marine biological animals and mammals and species, and learn how to come up and critically think about how that player or that marine champion will play in the video game. And then you can submit that character to the ABL team. ABL, of course, is short for Alcohol League. And then they could be in the game. So get in the game. So that's a quick roadmap update. Who's ready to dive in? Who's ready to get ABL loaded onto their PC, their Xbox? So here's our current roadmap. The chevrons are indicating what's our plan. Steps 1, 2, and 3 as far as the release schedule. We're going to release onto the Steam Valve network. It's, Steam Valve, they got a lot of money. Steam Valve, we can't wait till they release their new gaming console and frame XR goggles. I mean, we're going to be making sure you can play Alcohol League in that virtual or metaverse space, and it's going to be so fire, so dope. But we're going to release on Steam Valve on all these major releases first, and then I'm going to release on Epic Game Store, especially the early access to demo version. So that's the whole idea, is to do the public demo versions. Then we're hoping to lock in our relationship with Microsoft, so we could then hit our major milestones here to get it released onto Xbox. But last but not least, it's definitely not released, is that we will build and release our official open source version, so we can kick off for the fall our Steam esports programming for e-gaming development. That way our kids can learn how to develop their marine champions. They would not only go through our Steam It Flow, which I'll talk about very shortly, and draw a mock-up and a prototype of the character, but then we'll teach them about video game development. We'll teach them how to get that, model that character, because they're more than likely drawing that character as a 2D character first. And then we're going to show them how we sometimes build mock-ups and prototypes, which you'll see in the demo. I had a lot of fun with the kids, showing them how we use sometimes Google Gemini or one of these other tools for generative AI to take our 2D sketches or characters and then create better looking vision board-like character, so we can work on that character. So that is the plan, is to develop a school or rec or youth organization version that is open source, that we'll have on our gaming laptops that schools and other organizations can purchase. And then when we're running programming, we'll be doing video game development programming and teaching kids how to develop game assets. And those game assets, then we'll show them how they can make money. Like, hey, you build a nice asset, maybe Steam Your Dreams or maybe Creative Mindset Productions or some of our other friends may purchase that marine champion or asset in. That could be some money. I know a lot of people don't know this, but Fortnite allows you to create your own maps. And those maps, we got a couple of developers in developing game studios that's just specialize in doing that. And they make millions of dollars. So, and you got Minecraft. You got all these wonderful different video game titles that you can develop your own video game assets. So we're going to be teaching the kids about that in our special Steam Esports program. And of course, for our intermediate and more advanced, we'll also have Steam Esports Production, how to produce e-gaming and esports events and tournaments. So that is the reason why we must have this special open source version of our code that we're going to allow to be available and on a lot of our gaming laptops that then schools and other organizations and rec centers can purchase. And then that way, when we come in to run programming, or we can do professional development, teach other persons how to do that programming, that will be an option. So we're super excited about rolling that out definitely for this year. We already piloted it this year and it was very successful, but because ABL is getting updated, I wanted to make sure that we have a better official version that allows them to do that. So shout out to the rest of the team. Let's talk about exactly what that looks like about when we have kids steaming it. Now, what do I mean by getting in the game? Alcohol League, we inspire the kids through special programming, whether through just 1 hour activation or full, 8-week programming, to use the Steam It flow. It's a framework and workflow where we're asking the kids if they want to get their Marine champion in the Alcohol League video game, esports title, then they will have to, 1, do their research. Once they've done their research, tell us what kind of technology you would use. And definitely when you're building that character or critically thinking through that character, use your imagination and creativity to engineer how that character is going to move, what kind of speed, what kind of stamina, what kind of abilities will that Marine champion have. Last but not least is art. I love to draw and paint, play music, so we ask the kids to start thinking through a lot of wonderful ways that you can get their audience or people to like and love their character. And I got some special prototypes and mock-ups developed by some wonderful, beautiful kids. Let's go check it out. One of our first clients that ever gave us a shot to work with them was the City of Baltimore's public schools and Parks and Rec. So shout out to the wonderful team and staff because they saw not only the vision, but they saw the execution, the quality, the service. And we had a great opportunity this past week. And I'm going to create a special post and have a team create a special post around some of that footage, especially how we're going to ask the public to vote on some of these Marine champions. But we went to spring break and had a great time with the kids. Let's go check out, and shout out to all the different rec centers, Medfield, Woodhome, Locust Point, and Ella Vale. So, El Bell, I think I got that right. I'm going to clean it up if I can find it. But let's go see.
Characters for the game. I'm going to use my imagination and creativity. We did this earlier at Medfield. One of the kids at Medfield brought me, she told me her picture, she drew a big blue whale, and then Coach Ali, you told me he wanted to be Michael Jordan with the tongue out like a thumb. So I'm going to create another character. I'm going to take 2 pieces of artwork. I'm going to take her artwork. That's a shark. But what I said was Ocean World, where Eden, 5 years old, and her family of 4, African American mixed family, they are eating huge giant rainbow cookie. That's misspelling. A thrasher shark comes along with a mean face to try to steal the cookie.
I'm coming around.
I got Nugget.
Hey, you got Nugget.
I got Nugget the rub.
There. I don't ever want to make any open-ended promises of something that might not be attainable, but I'm a practical guy. I would love to find a solution for that, and I definitely agree. There's something that can be done with that building, and as mayor, I would definitely research that and look into it.
Thank you. Michael?
Question was about how to provide more affordable senior housing. And this is another one where I got to be real honest with you. The answer is not something you're going to love. We actually have had a couple of proposals to build higher density senior housing in Bowie over the years. One was actually about 5 or 6 years ago. It was off of 5th Street in Old Bowie. Do you know what the residents in that community said? No. So nobody wanted new construction. The city made an effort. We actually got a unanimous vote several years ago to redevelop the Sears property at the time, built some high density residential at the center, bring in some new commercial. It was a rare feat to get 7 people to agree on something, and we were talking about potentially having some dedicated senior housing there like we did at Wall Chapel. And the company, just as we approved that, got bought by another company. That company went bankrupt. That company got bought by another company, and that company became the furniture store that's there now. So that's just an example of the kind of challenges that we're facing, and that's why, Pat, I'm not going to be able to make any promises about what we can do. That particular building you're talking about was sold to a new owner for about $1.9 million about 4 years ago. We're looking for a new investor to come in. We don't know what they're going to be able to do yet.
Thank you.
As I always say, I'm not a character or AI. Obviously, I always repeat it. These politicians have been in power for 6 or 5 years plus. You have to question yourself. I did this, I did that. That's all nonsense. You would have done it your first year, your second term, your third term, nothing. So the question is, how can we change Bowie, Maryland? What we need to do is, we need to first of all, we have to question ourselves, why do CEOs from all these, areas come to Bowie to build their apartment buildings, etc.? These are very expensive apartments. We don't have any rooftop bars for adults. We have elderly, civilians or just citizens, senior citizens who need some type of enjoyment. But we don't have these things. So we question ourselves, All these CEOs, they come to Bowie, Maryland, they build these nice buildings, et cetera, their apartments, and vanish. You know, they're residing in Bethesda, et cetera. So we look at ourselves. Is Bowie ever going to change? Because now they're chugging us, in a pile.
Thank you very much. Wanda?
Thank you. As former president of the Greater Bowie Chamber of Commerce, I can tell you when I sat in that seat for 2 years, it was very difficult to get a clear vision from the city of Bowie on what they wanted to do in that marketplace area. We know that we know that there were going to be apartments there, and we know that businesses came there as a result of that, but the apartments never happened. So therefore, businesses kind of struggle over there, and they're doing a little better as far as during midday, and I can tell you Bowie High School keeps Chick-fil-A in business over in that area, for sure. But one thing that we don't have, if we had a vision that looked at that entire community, we could tell anybody that either owns it or interested in investing in it, we could be proactive with that and say, hey, look, this is our vision for this section of town. What can you give us? Now, remember, the community has to be a part of that visioning, but that's what I would do. Thank you.
I'm going to stand to answer this question. Can you hear me? Okay. In December of 2025, Governor Westmore designated $69.5 million to community revitalization. We know two things in the city of Bowie. Prince George's County has land, and we know that the city of Bowie has land. Now let me talk about Prince George's County. We can proactively work with the Prince George's County Council to designate some of their land as surplus land so that we can work to create these types of housing. In my district, in District 4, not everybody wants to keep their big single-family homes. Some people do want to downsize, so we can partner. Last week, I was meeting with the Housing and Urban Development federal agency, and when I met with them, they said there are federal dollars for this type of housing. But what Bowie needs is proactive leadership with a vision to bring all of these partners together so we can deliver on your needs so you can age in place. Thank you for the question.
Okay, next question.
I didn't answer.
I'm so sorry. You're right.
I didn't.
Please go.
Again, I have an answer. I'm not talking around the question. So my economic revitalization task force that I would like to implement that will consist of a variety of members would address it. Sit down with the individuals who currently own that building and actually come up with a plan on what we can do in terms of getting it at 100% vacancy in terms of the senior citizen living facility. Additionally, and having senior and focusing on senior engagement, it will allow us to look at other options as well within our city of Bowie where we can have such a facility. We need to stop saying, oh, we can't do this, or years it's been like this, or you're not going to like the answer. I have expertise in reimagining strategy, ideation, which is why in 2024 I was named Innovator of the Year for the FAA commercial space. Let's all come together and look at different ways to be productive and get something done. Thank you.
Thank you.
One last answer. Thank you. So Bowie deserves better, especially our seniors. They are the backbone of this community. I remember in middle school, there was this one lady I always seen walking around every single day, always active, and that's what makes me just love people, but especially our seniors. And I can't make any empty or broken promises, but one thing that I can assure that I'll be here to listen and put my best foot forward to make the change that you guys want to see. And if it doesn't work out, we'll try again. We'll keep going. Change happens from the heart, and a change happens when you come together as a community and show up and be that change. So it's not about putting something in the forefront and not doing anything about it, but it's truly about stepping up, being bold, and advocating for the change you want to see, especially with the senior centers and especially with the buildings. It all happens when we just simply show up and do our part. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my question is for Mr. Esteve, Ms. Roxy, sorry, I can't pronounce your last name, Ms. Pierce and Mr. Tennessee. There has been a dramatic increase in homeschooling families since COVID. How would you support the homeschooling families? Thank you.
Mic number 1 was chosen, so you get to go first.
Question was about there's a lot more homeschool families in Bowie, so what are we going to do to support them? The nice thing about Bowie is that for the most part, historically, the whole city council, and I think everyone on the stage who's in office, has been pretty open about supporting every possible alternative to education, whether that's STEM or Montessori or homeschool. We were really lucky in Rockledge. We had the old Montessori school. Some of you I know had students there. The owner passed away. There was a developer who owned that land and wanted to bring in a new subdivision. They were going to clear out the woods back there and put in a bunch of $1 million homes. The community was able to reach out to that homeowner, just a simple phone call, and we said, hey, you willing to meet with us? They agreed. We talked to them, we explained to them the importance of the school, and we got them to agree to hold off a couple of years and give us time to find a new school. We knew we probably weren't going to get a local public, but we did find an incredible school that served kids in Howard County that was looking for a new home. We were able to help bring them in. We lobbied the county, we lobbied the state, we got them all the paperwork they needed, and now that is a school, again, serving local kids. So there are lots of opportunities that we can continue to support.
Thank you.
So, I'm going to use this mic, but it's kind of taped down, so I'll just stay. Thank you for the question. So let me start by saying this. We know that so many Bowie families are starting to homeschool their children. So part of our role as council members, as well as your mayor, is advocating for the change in funding structures. We know that at the end of the day, if it is your choice to homeschool your children, that we should make sure that we are advocating at the county level who controls the Board of Education, who controls the funding structures, as well as the state, to make sure that those dollars are allocated towards you so that you can support a thriving community with your children. And then part of that is supporting the homeschooling communities. We know that sometimes twice a week, homeschooling communities take their children to a particular location and they gather together. So making sure that as we look at budgeting and appropriating dollars towards different initiatives, that we are making sure that as you are gathering as a homeschooling community, we are equipping you with the resources that you need to support the community. Thank you so much.
Thank you for that question. You know, when it comes to the school system here in Bowie, it is directly under the Prince George's County, but as leaders, it is important for us to collaborate with other leaders to advocate for the change that we want to see. And when it comes to the homeschooling system, we really need to hold our entire school system accountable with the curriculum and how well we're pushing our kids, because they are so smart and they deserve to be pushed far beyond their limits because they're very wise. And it's imperative for us to utilize our voice, to partner with higher up leaders, to release funding, to receive grants, to continue to give them an opportunity to learn at the basis that represent who they are and where they're destined to be in the future. Thank you.
Thank you for the question. Can you hear me? Thank you for the question. My background is in education, so this is something that I do take very seriously, right? And I also do know that with COVID, that a lot of families. Hello? This is better? Okay. All right, okay. Yeah, so my background is in education, so this is something that I do take very seriously. I also do know that with COVID, a lot of families did make that change over to homeschooling because it was safer, but I also do know some of the social effects that that does play into. But I do want to still support those families, right? Because at the end of the day, it is the family's choice whether or not they want to go into the county schools, maybe a private school, or for homeschooling. But education is education. So we do need to make sure that these families are being supported with the correct curriculum, and I do have more plans for after-school programs and mentorships that these students should still have access to in order to still boost their social skills afterwards.
Yeah? Okay. Hi, my name is Fiona Moody. I'm a lifelong Bowie resident. I've been really active. I think I speak for everybody when I say that we're super concerned about overdevelopment here in the city, as well as conflict of interest with our elected representatives taking money from developers. So two-part question here. One of the biggest concerns has been the Mill Branch project that indirectly contributed to the Giant closing there and the sweetheart deals that were involved in that specific project. So I've got two questions for everybody on the panel here. First of all, how do you feel about the developments at South Lake and Mill Branch? And how did you or how would you have voted on those specific developments? And the second part is, as mayor, what would you do to make sure that sweetheart deals don't occur in the future? And will each of you make a pledge this evening not to take campaign finance from developers and only from residents who actually live here in Bowie?
Thank you. This question is for Abdul. Okay, number 3.
Thank you for the question. So first I'll say that we that run for office here in Bowie are not allowed to take developer money. So that is part of what we're responsible for not doing. But if it happened when I didn't know anything about it. So what I would like to say is that I believe that in order for a community to thrive, we do have to have some type of managed, purposeful, intentional development that involves an engaged community in that decision making. We cannot sit as a body and make those decisions on behalf of the community. But remember, we live in a capitalistic democracy that allows people to make decisions around what they want to purchase. The other part to this is we do not control zoning in the city of Bowie. It's controlled by the county. So I'm with you. When I see the traffic every day, I am extremely concerned about overdevelopment, but if it's planned and it's managed, then it can be successful. Right now, what you're experiencing wasn't very planned and wasn't very well, it was successful in some sense. Thank you.
Thank you for the question. Let me start by saying that I am the only member of City Council who reached out to our city leadership to ask how to repeal the tax incentive that was given to Southlake, because I felt that their commercial development was piss poor. I'm being very honest about that. I'm very transparent. It is very unfortunate to see what is going on with commercial development in our city. It is very poorly planned and it has no proactive vision currently today. So currently I am the only council member that is also working to turn those shopping centers around, to recruit the types of retail that we actively see. I send multiple emails to CEOs of the businesses that residents are sending me to try and recruit those businesses directly and place them in those shopping centers to see if we can get out of some of the contracts that currently have been signed and established by the developers in this region to make sure that we can get the development that residents want to see. So yes, I am currently very disappointed with the state of development. I do not support overdevelopment, and I think there's a proactive and sustainable and innovative way to approach it. Thank you for the question.
Thank you. Again, what you bring up, I actually have identified as an action under the first 30 days if I'm elected to office, which is to establish a strong engagement and communication with our city council. Last Tuesday, or whatever, it was a meeting last week, I don't want to have the specific day, that the city council had, and only one mayor showed up. There was no representation at all as it relates to the city of Bowie. So we need to have stronger engagement and communication with the city council. No, I have concerns about that because those homes that are being built over there, where are the kids going to go to school? Overcrowded schools. They're going to go overcrowd in terms of our shopping centers and also in terms of our traffic. I would not have readily voted for that development until we had an informed decision to address all those other things that was just mentioned. I have had discussions with residents and friends about that development, and we definitely are concerned, particularly when across the street from it, they're not sustainable retail businesses or restaurants. So we have to look at everything as a whole. Thank you very much. I have to stop.
Thank you so much for your question. I truly believe that it's very important to collaborate. Collaboration is key when it comes to this, collaborating with the county officers who are in leadership positions because they are the ones who actively are in charge of land use and how it's allocated here in Bowie. And when it comes to what we like and what we don't like, it's imperative for us to utilize our voice. That's very important, especially because it doesn't only affect the older community, but the younger community as well. And we need to get them up and active within it all for the most part. And so when it comes to South Lake and Milford, it's an unfortunate, overcrowded situation, but all we can do is continue to advocate for the change that we want to see. So thank you for expressing your concern. And as mayor, I'll ensure to continue to proactively listen and do what I can to ensure that we mitigate the issue. Thank you.
Thank you for the question. In terms of the two places you are talking about, they're already been built. Again, somebody mentioned there was a sweetheart deal that was done. It shouldn't have happened. When I'm your mayor,
my sister, if I will say that, it's my girl. But the reason why I like fight is because, honestly, we live in America, and I don't know a day a black woman has not had to fight. I just have to give that preface. So I grew up here, but I spent my summers in Jackson, Mississippi. My grandmother lived only a couple blocks from where Medgar Evers was shot and killed. And I said that to say again, so for me, and I go back, I travel, I see what's happening. And so I do think it's fighting, because I have been the first multiple times in my career. That's a problem. It's 2026. We're supposed to live in the most diverse, most educated, city. And honestly, we're in D.C. There's a lot happening right now. There's a lot of people fighting. And a lot of black women, and I'm going to have to preface that because a lot of black women are out of work right now. So I had to share that. But all to say, for me, I think people read my bio, and especially the college. So March Madness is happening now in D.C. So I'll be there tomorrow. And then I'm a Heisman voter. And honestly, a lot of times when I'm in a college space, covering collegiate sports, and even honestly, as a professor, I teach not too far from here, George Washington University, and I still think about my students that email me and say I'm the first black woman professor that they had. And I think back to my own journey, I never had a black woman journalism professor. And I will say, so I carry that with pride, and the fight in me is to make sure that I'm not the only, it should be a lot. There's so many colleges and universities here. In the college, sports box space, I went to Maryland, I covered Maryland, I look around, so, you first get there, it's not enough. I'm in sports talk radio. It's not enough. I talk everything from SEC in Alabama, I talk New Orleans on WWL a lot. It's not enough. And so I think for me, the fight is why I continue on. Somebody has to do it. Somebody has to carry it on. I love these spaces because it's real. And I don't get to always be in spaces like this. I felt you. So I'm from Clarksburg, Maryland. Everybody knows this now because we have the only two robot outlets in North America. But nobody knew that before. But honestly, my journey was being in rooms where I was the one. And so that's what I knew. And honestly, it's still like that a lot today. But I think especially for black women in sports, even to this day, I still have to prove myself to some others. I've done a lot, but every day, that's why I work so hard. I've had the underdog mentality. I only know how to work hard. But America has taught me that. And it reminds me that time and time again, especially working in sports media. Every credential, everybody I can get credentialed, I have to fight. I want to relax. It's nice. But there's just a lot of work to do. So all this, honestly, there's multiple examples. But I know what I'm doing is not just for me. The two things I'm driven by are legacy and impact. And that's what my fight is for. My legacy, my people's legacy, and the impact, right, that it can make. So I appreciate that question. But I'm grateful for all these women up here because I think they are fighting in their fields and what they're doing. The representation, it matters. People are seeing that. They're inspired by that. But again, we're living in a time where DEI programs are getting slashed and cut. We're living at a time where diversity is a bad word. So I do think it's a fight that we have to continue on because there are people now being told no, and people are just saying, oh, well, the government told me I can. That's a problem.
Yes, I am loving all of these perspectives. I really am. And I think what I'm hearing as a through line is that we have to be strategic about our battles, right? Pick and choose your battles because there is a lot going on right now. And so we need to be the best that we can be when we are in these spaces where we have to make ourselves seen, known, and push power.
Yeah, absolutely.
That actually led, and it was a great segue to my next question, because now I want to talk about those following after you. And so the question is really around where do you see the biggest shifts happening right now for Black women in media. And what does the next generation need to understand about building real power amidst these shifts? And I think each of you have touched on it in different ways, but I would love to just get a sound clip from you for those of us who are, entering into the space. So whoever wants to start.
If I can just talk, but I can. I'm like, a broadcast journal is always going to talk. Right.
I'm waiting. Yeah, I think for me, when it comes to empowering, the next generation, I talked about having internship programs, always shadowing. I can't tell you how many career days or schools, I constantly talk it, because my biggest thing is just, obviously people want two things in life. That's access and opportunity. Most of the time people want access to opportunity. Yeah. And so how can I create that space with my own power? And so I think the roles that I carry, and then honestly just even entering to entrepreneurship, that's big. And I think DC has such a vibrant, thriving entrepreneurship scene where you can see entrepreneurs that look like you, but even more so, who are you bringing in the room with you? Yeah. And I think that's been the biggest thing. So I think for me, making sure that the access and opportunity is there. Like I said, my students this opportunity today, I wanted them to be, in this room, because I knew having access to all of these women up here, would mean something really special for them. And so I think it's that, how do you give back? So for me, it's I know the young people always ask me, well, how do I get experience, Professor Nelson and Ms. Kelsey? And that's what I have to help them do. It's a competitive job market, right? It's hard. And I think for me, so one of the things I really lean on to, I think the sports space, the positive is that content creators now are a thing, and you don't have to wait for companies now to give you that first opportunity. They will reach out to you because they want your audience. They want the people that you're able to reach. And so one of the things I try to teach now is being an entrepreneurial journalist, because a lot of people are now going to have to start their own companies because companies are shrinking. They're getting smaller. And it is true you have to be the best, but even if you are the best, doesn't mean you're going to get a job, right? And so how do we teach those skills? And so for me, I spent a lot of time talking. I just finished the JP Morgan Coaching for Impact program. And again, it wasn't just for me. I sort of learned the business side. That's why I love that we're talking here at the National Black MBA Association, because you have to learn the business side. I meet so many content creators that tell me all these amazing things. I'm like, okay, well, where's the check coming? Where's the money coming from? The rent is always due late. So it's about to be first, mortgage, all that stuff. But just make sure that, again, you're empowering people. Again, have access to capital. It's expensive to live here, right? How do you make sure that people are making sure they have money in their pockets? I think that's the biggest thing. Making sure that people can learn how to not just be an entrepreneur, because it's a hot buzzword right now, but making sure that they have the capital behind that to really sustain themselves long term.
Absolutely. So for production, the shift has been in cinematography. So if you all are familiar with the Oscars, Autumn Aquapaw just won Best Cinematography for Sinners. And that is the biggest reason why Severe Film Productions was started, because I started off in that same position wanting to be an award-winning cinematographer. But I realized that my skill was more so in making sure that the business side, we're talking about right now, was taken care of. So I hired the best cinematographers, and they are women. And, I was just speaking with an investor the other day, and he was asking, I want to see your work. I want to know what you've been able to do. And I said, well, he started naming all of these male cinematographers. And I said, well, I would like to let you know that this is a woman-owned and woman-operated business. And he was like, oh, that's perfect. We'll take it. I said, I'm glad to hear that more men are realizing that women are behind the camera. And it's not just a man writing the story, because a lot of people are familiar with and used to Tyler Perry. A lot of people are used to, these male writers and these male directors and DPs, but they don't realize that it's now women who are carrying these 10-pound cameras and can build a camera out just like a man. Like yesterday, I had an event where we covered a conference for a woman-owned nonprofit. And I had a woman cinematographer. And they were so in awe that the company that I run is ran and operated by a woman. So that's where first the shift starts in production, is being able to employ women, and making sure that they are seen and heard And then also for the second part of the question was for who are we bringing with us, right?
What does they need to know?
Okay, so in our mentorship program, we have a full-on session. We have full-on sessions that teaches them how to budget for a film, how to write their script, how to pitch, how to, have a conversation outside of just knowing what their story is about. Can they tell me their story in 30 seconds or less? And being able to do that, you think that, oh, it's easy. I can tell you about my story. But when it actually happens, they get flustered like, oh my gosh, I don't really think I know my characters. So giving them that practice makes them feel, a little bit at ease. It takes the nerve off, and it helps them to realize that, okay, yes, I am meeting with someone that is in the industry, but she made me feel human. She made me feel seen. She made me feel heard, and not just trying to make me feel less than. And I want them to know that I did not have a mentor when I was coming into this industry. I had to go find a mentor, and the mentor that I found was a male. And he made sure that what I did and what I knew was factual, and it also presented me in a way that pushed me beyond where I was at that present time. So it was his company, but guess who was closing the deals? Me. I was 24 years old. I'm like, I don't know how to do this. I just graduated college. What do you mean I got to go talk and get checks? How do you do that? But that was preparing me to start my own business. And I was like, well, how do I do this? How do I do that? And everything that I had to do was making me and building me and bringing me on. So somebody that did that for me, now I'm able to do that for a plethora of students in different states, in different cities, and different universities. So that's how we, connect. That's how we shift, and that's how we move the next generation forward.
That's legacy building. That's legacy building. Yeah.
So I absolutely love this question because, especially in the entertainment media space, there is a beautiful shift that's happening right now in that landscape. Just recently, there was a debate about content creators being on red carpets. And it got a little heated, okay? Because, journalists were like, well, baby, I went to this university and I did this. And this girl is like, okay, but I got 500,000 followers. So it brought about a very interesting dialogue, but to me, it just means so many more doors are opening. Wow. Because the beauty in it, and what I kind of answer in both questions and what everyone should know as well, just as inspiration, the power in collaboration over competition.
Yes.
Because if you are a news broadcaster and I'm a content creator with 500K and you only got 1,200, let's collaborate. Okay. Because in the moments where I do not have, as the content creator, if someone doesn't have the academia to support something, that's where your expertise comes in. And instead of looking at it as we're in competition against one another, that's a collaboration spot right there.
Yeah.
Because what you can say is, well, as a seasoned, and then you can come in and bring your expertise. Yep. And then now that is introducing you to that person's audience, and now you can grow your following as well. Even if down to meteorologists, I tell them, hey, you can be a guest on someone's podcast.
Very true.
You can talk about what you know. There is so much equity in your experience. Do not let anyone discount that, whether you are someone that's up and coming or you are a seasoned vet. You have to learn how to collaborate in a way that is going to be beneficial to you both. So don't look at it as someone is taking an opportunity or it's, some slight to you. Look at how you can be a benefit to one another.
Yeah.
I have an entertainment podcast and I have interviewed chefs to say, so who was your favorite chef in a movie? Now we're both being exposed to both audiences. Even, I want to shout you out, Spotlight DMV. We typically, hey girl. But this is actually, she has a platform as well that she's building. One could say that we do the same thing, but she does it in a different way. I focus more on entertainment media. She covers local events. She does everything.
Yeah.
That's never going to stop me from being like, girl, you want to come to this? Yeah. You're doing this red carpet? I'm here. You're there. They got more spots. It's all about building that network and that ecosystem.
Right.
So the biggest thing, collaboration over competition.
Yeah, that is what it is. I have no idea how to follow up all of them in this conversation. But one thing that I really want to add in, especially about what I want folks to take in when we are talking about media, entertainment, creation in that space, I want to give shout out to a Black woman-owned organization called the Colored Girls Liberation Lab. Owned by Jennifer Roberts. She is a Spelman grad, but she created this organization called the Colored Girls Liberation Lab, which really focuses on Black women dreaming. Yes. And the reason why I am shouting them out is because during my season of caregiving, I identify as a caregiver. I was caregiving for my father for 10 years before his passing while living in DC in grad school, full-time teaching at GW, also doing some artwork on the side, and also on a PhD track at the same time and flying home every month.
Yes, hi, good afternoon. This is Veronica Fountain. I'm the publisher and owner of Simply Bowie Publication and Media Group. Every month, I brace the community with interviewing an amazing business owner and leaders of the community. And Prince George's County has the best business owners and great leadership. Today, I am with Euniesha Davis today. I'm so very happy that you are here in the audience with us today, in the studio. You are a community builder running for District 4, for Prince George's County District 4. Yes. So welcome to the studio with me today. Let's get started. Let's dive into it.
Okay, you want to dive in?
Let's dive into it.
Okay.
Let's get started with the Chester, Pennsylvania. Let's get started with Chester, Pennsylvania. Up to Prince George's County.
Okay.
And first, before you start, I am very familiar with Chester, Pennsylvania.
You are.
I grew up in Delaware and college at Lincoln University. Okay. So I know to get to Philadelphia, you have to go through Chester, Pennsylvania.
Delaware, Chester,
yes,
Philly.
exactly.
Okay, perfect.
So let's get started. Tell me about yourself, your why story.
Sure, my why story. So born and raised in Chester, PA, raised by a single mom. Although I had really great relationship with my father, but my mom raised me.
Okay.
And my grandparents, my grandmothers, and specifically my father's mother.
Okay.
Crazy enough,
yes.
Right? And so seeing her struggles, but at the same time, she was a voice for people in the community. Very, very loved in the community. Worked one job. 32 years, Crozer Chester Medical Center. Wow. So I saw her work ethic. My mom barely missed a day off.
And her tenure.
In her tenure, 32 years. 32 years. I have a brother.
Okay.
And then I also have brothers and sisters. On my dad's side. And I have good relationships with them as well.
That's good.
It's good, right?
Yeah.
But growing up in Chester, there wasn't a lot of resources.
Okay.
And so many times we kind of had to do with what we had.
Yes.
But my mom, even though a single parent, what she instilled in me, my younger brother by 5 years, he's younger than me.
Okay.
And I'm turning 50 this coming Saturday. Okay. But what she instilled in us was education first. Okay. That is going to be your way out.
Right.
Right. And so with that, I wasn't able to have a job in high school.
Okay.
I didn't have my first job really until 2 months before I was about to graduate.
Wow. Okay.
Yes. So she didn't want distractions.
Okay.
So my summers were
She wanted you to focus on reading and the education part.
Absolutely. So my summers were spent at Upward Bound. You ever heard the Upward Bound program?
Yes.
Program in inner cities where focused on academic enrichment, activities, just really exposed you to things that maybe you wouldn't be exposed to growing up because maybe you couldn't afford it. Right.
Yes.
And so that's where my summers, a lot of my weekdays. So my mom kept us very, very busy.
Okay.
Because for her, she wanted success. She wanted us to do better than she had, right?
Yes.
And although I think, she's done very well, right? Even be a single mom and all that, but she wanted just better for us.
Okay.
So I graduated #1 in my high school. I was class valedictorian.
That's nice.
I'm really proud of. But she worked very hard. So to give us the proper education, I went to public school. I also went to Catholic school too. For a couple years, and then I went back to public
balance.
school. Very good balance. So by 8th grade, I had the foundation. So then I went to high school. So my mom said, well, that's where a lot of the scholarships are, right? Or you're going to get those R's. So you're going back because I've done a couple years. With this, and she made ends meet. Many times I remember growing up, she did without in order for my brother and I to have. Right. So I understand what it means to struggle, but also through that struggle, you learn the lessons that are there. And when you do achieve, it's so much sweeter. It has been for me, right? I've worked for everything that I have. So
and you appreciate it.
I appreciate it. Oh my goodness, right? All the lessons and no, you can't go to that party.
Right. Yes.
Not yet. You're not ready for that. No, you're not driving in cars with boys until a certain age. You're not ready for that. And so it's like, just because everyone else is doing it, that doesn't mean you have to do it.
So she was already grooming you at the early age to be a leader and not a follower.
Absolutely. She didn't tolerate that at all.
Okay.
Very, very firm, but very loving at the same time. And so while I'm here in being able to experience different career paths and journeys, right? My brother, he's done the same as well. So he lives in Delaware. Right? So he lives in Delaware.
Is he in Dover or Wilmington?
Wilmington.
Okay, Wilmington.
So Wilmington, like there as well.
Yes.
And so his wife and 4 kids.
Okay,
right?
nice.
But he's one of the top-rated guidance counselors in the state of Delaware.
Wow.
Yeah. So
that's awesome.
Right. And it's awesome for her to see what her children have been able to do. Right. And as I said, 32 years, my brother and I were able to walk her off her job.
Wow.
Right.
That's excellent.
Yes. Right.
That's
like 3 years ago.
Yeah.
She
did
really,
well. Yes,
she did. And so very excited for her. So from there, I went on and to go to Norfolk State University.
Okay.
And I did that for a year, and I met some amazing people.
Okay.
But I wanted it just wasn't. It wasn't for me.
Okay.
Right. I had a full ride to Norfolk State.
Okay.
Full ride. And I was in the Denemas program, and I'm like, you know what? I think I want to change the pace. I don't know if I missed home a little bit. But I did that for 1 year. Met some amazing people.
Okay.
And 3 of them. We all turned 50 this year.
Okay.
Really, really good girlfriends. I'm like, again, that was a stopping point for me, right? And then I went on to Indiana University of Pennsylvania.
Okay.
So a little bit closer to home.
Okay. Is that where you spearheaded and started the Delta?
I did. So again, you don't know where your journey is going to take you, but I know that every place I go to, I'm meant to be there.
Okay.
And
yes.
So when I got to IUP, it's a predominantly white campus.
Okay.
We called it the Public Ivy. Right. So when I got there, amazing school. Now it snowed a lot, especially winters. They didn't cancel school, so they didn't care if it was a foot of snow or 2 feet. You're going to class, right?
You're going to class. You can walk across the yard.
And so the minority group there, we were very close knit.
Yes,
right?
I can only imagine. Yes,
exactly. Because that way we were able to share resources.
And lean on each other.
Absolutely. The school was very, very supportive as well.
Okay.
So I was so happy that I made the decision to go to IUP.
Okay.
And that is where I met my line sisters.
Okay.
Delta wasn't there. It wasn't there. So at Norfolk State, I got to see the Deltas. And when I went to IUP, I'm like, where are they?
Right.
No way Delta's not here. So for like 3 years, we worked very hard to bring Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated to Indiana University of Pennsylvania. So I'm a charter member.
So again, leadership, showing that leadership.
Yes.
The starting something of that magnitude.
Absolutely.
Most people just join a sorority or fraternity. That's amazing.
And they were to develop programming for on campus, off campus. And so there, I wrote most of the programming for my chapter. Okay. Not kind of knowing what that really all meant. Right. And so, but again, you're looking at vulnerable populations, kids and seniors. So all of that tied in, but I didn't know what I was going to use it for later.
You're just building blocks right now. And don't know
interesting.
what the outcome is going to be.
Exactly,
Yes.
exactly. So I graduated with a BA in computer science.
Okay.
And a lot of people don't know that I have a computer science degree, but I wanted to use it differently.
I would have pegged you more as communication.
Yeah, probably, right? Yes, right.
Marketing or communication, yeah.
But I wasn't.
Okay.
Extracurricular activities on campus, yes. I had to produce one of the largest fashion shows on campus called the Ebony and Ivory Fashion Show.
Okay.
It was one of the most successful fashion shows, and a lot of people thought I was in marketing. I was a computer science major. But for me, I wanted to work with people, the aesthetics of it, the look and feel, giving end users the product they wanted.
Right.
And so that's where I was going with that.
Okay.
And so then I fell in love with design.
Okay.
And so, so once I graduated IUP, I migrated down to Baltimore.
Okay.
Okay.
So Norfolk, Westchester, Norfolk.
Yes, and then I migrated out to Baltimore, and I attended University of Baltimore for my master's in communications design. So again, working with people, look and feel of an end product, right? Really catering to the needs of the user or the client.
Yes.
And so I spent a couple years there, and I taught algebra.
Okay. Wow.
I know to Forest Heights, but again, it was in an area.
That's a tough class to teach to students.
Yeah, Algebra 1 now, okay? Algebra 1.
Yes.
Yeah, so I was a substitute teacher, so I had to have a job. It was a full-time job, but I had to have a job. So again, I got a chance to work with children.
Okay.
A vulnerable community, right? Population to truly give back and
give back to the community,
right? And just kind of see how the kids worked and what they wanted, what their needs were. So it was an amazing experience there.
I can
it really
imagine.
was,
Yes.
right? And then after that, I said I kind of like it here. Kind of like it here. So I stayed in the area a little bit, and then I said, well, I'm gonna migrate down just a little bit more. So then I took a job at BBC America.
Okay.
And which is a subdivision of Discovery.
Okay.
And
yes. I'm familiar with them.
And I went to marketing there.
Okay.
So even though I didn't have a marketing degree, I went into marketing there. And I worked on shows like the Trailer Park Boys, the British version.
Okay. Interesting.
Coupling, and of course, The Office.
The Office.
That was the original. And so I got a chance to work on that and to bring, and I didn't bring it here, but it was here for me to get it out into community, just really expand what BBC was to Americans.
Right.
And it was fun.
Okay.
Got a chance to work with some good people, but then the entity decided to take BBC America back to New York.
Okay.
And I didn't want to go.
Yeah.
So I said, no, I'm going to work here. I went into a little bit of government contracting.
Okay.
I worked for DO Weeks. I worked for McNeil Technologies.
Okay.
So I went a little bit of contracting services. It gave me a chance to design.
Okay.
And so I met a couple people, networked a lot. Met a couple people. One woman, she said, Euniesha, there's a job at United Way.
Okay.
I think you'll be perfect for. I said, okay. She's like, well, it's programming.
Okay.
Remember I said I didn't know what I was writing the programs for. So I went into that.
Okay.
And I think it's really why I'm here as well.
Okay. Yes.
Got a chance to develop a child wellness initiative. So when I came in with United Way at the time, it had gone through like one of the worst scandals ever.
Wow.
I wasn't there.
Okay.
So I can't speak to it, but it was coming out of.
Okay.
And what they wanted to do was truly respond to the needs of the community.
Okay.
And so affordable housing was a hot issue.
Yes.
And so was child wellness.
Yes.
And around that, at that time, childhood obesity was number one in the DC area.
Yes.
And I was brought in to solve for that problem. And so,
Okay.
And so I created this program called Fun, Fly, and Fit.
Okay.
It became one of
Fun, Flyer, Fit.
Fun, Fly, and Fit.
And Fit. Okay.
So kids had to be cool.
Yes.
Working out and exercising, all of that. And so with that program, and also an anti-bullying program. So it became the Child Wellness Initiative.
Okay.
One of United Way National Capital Area's most successful initiatives.
Okay.
And so I garnered a $1.4 million grant from the state, the first time United Way had ever done that.
Wow, amazing.
Right, to support the child wellness